welcome to this week's episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. Welcome back. And this week we're going to be drinking some Irish, which not everyone here has had on the show, so we figured we'd do that next. This week is Jameson Black Barrel, and it's kind of Jameson's one of their, I guess, higher-end, more exclusive whiskeys. It's the first Jameson I've actually really liked. I've had their normal stuff before, and this one, and never really felt like I needed to buy a bottle. I had the Black Barrel and said, oh, I need to get me some of that. So I'll see what these guys think.
Now, when I was in my 20s, I think the regular Jameson's was my first whiskey above like the regular stuff that you get, the Jack Daniels and that kind of thing. It was my first semi high end that I went, and then move on to Maker's Mark, and then I think after that is when people really start trying different whiskeys. They really start. That's what. Beyond that is when you really start to get to know whiskey as a beverage. So it'll be interesting to try what their higher end Black Barrel is.
Yeah. I think Jameson's is one of those. Like Maker's Mark, it's like a high-end mass market whiskey. So people know the name. If they drink whiskey, they know what it tastes like. But it's, we tend to avoid the kind of the larger distillers because we like to focus on the small guys. So this is an exception to that.
Yeah. Well, why tell people about whiskeys they already know about?
Exactly.
That's kind of boring. So, anyways, this is Jameson's Black Barrel. Decent. Not phenomenal, but decent. It's got a. I mean, there's not really a lot. I think there's not really a big taste. The mouthfeel is good, and the finish is just kind of okay. I don't know. What's your
Personally, myself, I mean, from an Irish standpoint, this is my first Irish whiskey since being part of the podcast. So it's interesting to me because I'm used to Irish whiskeys being like, for example, like Bushmills and having Irish car bombs or something like that. And then the first time I ever had Jameson, it was just standard Jameson. But for me, this is actually it's a lot more smooth for a Jameson. It's for an Irish whiskey, it's very drinkable. It's kind of soft on the flavor, which is not really a bad thing for me. It's not overly overpowering. It's actually pretty good in my personal opinion. The mouthfeel is pretty good, and the finish is it's not really overbearing. So
I think the mouthfeel was really great. The taste was, it had a little bit of a flavor to it. It's not no Angel's Envy, but I think the finish is where it ruins it for me.
Yeah, I can see that. The finish isn't spectacular, but I still think the finish is better than the stuff we had last week.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, there's three levels of whiskey. There's the whiskey you drink neat, whiskey you drink on the rocks, and whiskey you mix some cola in with. I would say this is the second one. This
could take
whiskey
on the rocks.
I would take on the rocks.
That'd be fine.
Although an ice cube would really improve this.
The only thing you'd risk there is when you water it down, which is what the ice is for. You lose some flavor, kind of. It changes the flavor profiles, which I like. There's the whole debate. Rocks neat. If you do 1 cube, which I don't ever do more than that, you can open up some new flavors, and it does get rid of any harshness in the finish because you lower the alcohol content. There are times when I feel like the flavor and not the bite, and I agree that a cube in here wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah, yeah. So
I kind of
That'd be
wonder
fine,
almost what it would be like with it. Conversely, other than a cube of ice or something like that, what it would be like maybe with like a chilled glass. At least myself.
maybe a little bit of cold might without watering
Yeah.
it down might dull some of the finish. Kind of tone down the finish a little bit without watering down the flavor.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
That might be a good one.
I still think it's a vast improvement over regular Jameson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as from what I read, this isn't any much more expensive than regular Jameson. I got it at one of the big box stores for under 40.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So
Well, one of the things I like about at least this particular Jameson is I've noticed that the flavor is it's a little bit better, but I've noticed with a lot of whiskeys, at least this is just my personal opinion, and this is not the same in all cases, but I've noticed that some of the better whiskeys for anybody who's new at whiskey, at least in my opinion, is if you're looking for something better, you'll find that corked is usually better than capped. It seems to taste just a little bit better if it's corked. It's just usually got, whether it's a smoother finish or whatever it is, just something. It's not always just because it's corked instead of capped that it's going to have a high price range, but it just seems to taste better that way, at least in my opinion.
yeah, that very well could be.
So we got any final words on Jameson's Black Barrel?
Well, obviously, I thought it was worth buying. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would drink it again.
I probably wouldn't buy it.
I mean, there are a lot of whiskeys that we've tasted. So to be one that we feel like should buy, I bought it because it's one we hadn't actually had on the show, and Jameson is kind of the generic Irish. When you think of Irish, Bushmills and Jameson are the two big ones, and it's Jameson, but not just Jameson. It's a little bit better. So
Now, I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be that if you went to Ireland and ordered a whiskey, you had to be careful which one of those you ordered, because if you order the wrong whiskey in the wrong bar, you could end up dead. I don't know if they're quite as brutal as they used to be, but it used to be like, no, you better order Jamesons in this bar, or you would better order Bushmills, or but I don't know if it's that bad anymore. But it used to be pretty. It used to be a pretty risky thing to order one of those in an Irish pub without knowing.
someday I'd like to go to Ireland and find out.
And hopefully return. So
Yeah.
But anyways, that's all for this week of Nerds Drink Whiskey.